There's nothing like starting this show on the right foot, shushing people. How the heck are you, Carrie?
Not shushed. I know you would never try to shush me.
Oh, I would never. No. Why would I shush you anyway? Man, we have a show today. We have, the question is always what can we take from this and put into the backpack? Tamar Weinberg, who has been around social for a million years. We're going to ask her almost no social questions. We're going to ask her perfume questions because she did that. And then Brooke is here. Brooke Sellas is here. And we are going to talk to Brooke about the land of media right now. What are we going to do? What's changed going forward? Best jokes. And
Brooke is so good. For fun, she likes to jump scare people. I'm just warning you. Oh, see, it works.
It works.
When you don't.
Backpack. That is never going to not be funny.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. So people are really excited that Tamar is here. Lisa Barone says she invented social media marketing.
Lisa Barone would know. We were there.
Your mom is here. Your dad is here.
Always happy when my mom and dad are here. It's so strange to me. Scott is here, so we have to ask questions from before she was an heiress to the world of perfume.
I'm excited about this. I don't think I've ever talked about perfume before, like in depth, except for with Amber Osborne. We talked about it on my hobby show, Punch Out. We talked about her collection, but she doesn't make them. So this will be interesting. Tamar
makes them. Yes. So, hey, Tamar Weinberg, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Best day of my life. Tamar is also the first person I knew personally who had COVID. So do you remember when there were all these like COVID deniers saying, do you know anyone who has a case? Sadly, I did. But you made it through the wilderness.
Yeah. I think I'm going through it a little bit. They do talk about those after effects, and I can't say that they're like, I would say probably 98% of the way there. So.
I don't have much of a reply to that, but I just want to say that I can't imagine the sense that it's going to be with you for some duration, and it just wasn't like you didn't do anything to earn this. It wasn't like you were a lifelong smoker. You weren't or whatever. You just showed up and chewed on you.
Yeah. It was completely unexpected. My exposure was probably February 29th or March 1st. We were in quarantine on March 3rd. Everybody else was quarantined on March 16th. And it was very isolating for the first 2 weeks because we were the only city in the United States where 1,000 of us were sitting in our homes in quarantine and isolation.
It's kind of nuts.
And then you got it anyway. That must have been super annoying.
Super annoying, but I felt like I was part of a tribe, I guess, to some degree. I could talk about it now, and thankfully, I have 4 children and my husband, and they didn't get it. So it was like the best possible outcome for me because, I had a mild case, but I was able to kind of, give PSAs and say, we need to stay indoors. This is why. And I was able to also say, because my case, if you, on a scale from 1 to 10, I wrote about it on Medium, medium.com at Tamar, if you want to read anything. It was a scale and it was a 3. And it was barely there, but it was there enough that I knew something was possibly off, and I still maintained whatever distance. And I was able to communicate, you might have a tiny little cough, and that could be something, you could be contagious.
It's kind of nutty that way. Hey, quick pause to wish Chip Griffin a happy birthday. Today's Chips. I thought he was no way he was going to come and hang out with us, but I think it's because he knew he'd get some loving. And Chip is similar to Tamar in some ways, insofar as that he's one of those guys that doesn't get the credit he deserves. Did a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, he's not from Wales, but he's definitely the kind of guy who deserves extra credit. Tamar, early on, you were out there innovating and talking and being at all the same events and all that sort of stuff. What's your memory of kind of the good old days versus the changes you made along the way to, one day you say to me, hey, I'm a mom. And the next day there's 4 kids and now you're, a perfume person. And obviously that happened in a span across your time zone. But in my head, you were like social media wizard and then suddenly a mom starting a perfume company.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's ups and downs to that story. Social media for me has actually kind of been an evolution. In the beginning, it was about making viral content, and it was about the broadcast. As I evolved into this role, I found that it was really important to maintain relationships. And that was not something that was under the umbrella of social media marketing. That was a completely different thing. It was sort of an evolution to customer experience. And that was something that I don't think social media marketers at the time were doing. They were just all about let's write some great content. And that's the story. So for me, I kind of moved away from social media marketing almost, not want to say almost as quickly as I joined, because I was there early, but I started kind of promoting the importance of adopting toward a relationship marketing mindset, probably in 2011, 2012, and then 2013. I pretty much evolved the social media marketing agency that I had, or consultancy that I had, into more real-time results related. I have this little resume of sorts that kind of speaks to that philosophy, realtimeemail.com. You don't have to put the link of that up there. But so the story of that is, that I really like. I want to work. It's one-on-one. It's not about one-on-many for me. And after I had my first child in 2009, I started feeling. I guess I never really felt like the honeymoon phase that I used to have. I mean, of course, there's a child in the picture now, but I didn't realize that with the subsequent births of his three younger children, his three younger siblings, I was sort of in a depression. I was in a low spot. It wasn't like, it was probably, you would probably consider it mild, and it continued for about 9 years. And then I hit I guess you would consider it more of a moderate to severe, potentially, depression. It's like a rock bottom. And one day I found a little vial of perfume. This was after going through the motions. I'd wake up and I'd be kind of in a fog, and I'd kind of show up for my kids, but I wasn't in any mental state of happiness at all. Mm-hmm. I found this little vial of perfume and I put it on. It was something that I worn before. In fact, earlier in this stage of my the depression, but this was life-changing for me. All of a sudden, we have 5 senses, and for whatever reason, we take our smell for granted. And I think for me personally, that changed everything.
Which one was it?
It's funny people ask that, but it almost doesn't matter, because
it matters to me.
Yeah, no, it was a brand called Harvey Prince. It's a niche brand, but it doesn't, it's because afterwards what it did was it awoken my desire to explore the sense of scent, in a way that I became I went to Sephora and I try on perfumes literally up my arm, and then all the little scent thingies, and every single time I did it, I got excited. So it wasn't it's funny, somebody's scent is very, very tied to your memory, and it could probably be that it associated with your an earlier memory that made you feel great. Well, the first time I ever tried this scent was when I was depressed, so I don't think that was what it was. But as I consistently explored new scents, I went, I got excited, I got enchanted by this. Oh my God, there's so much out there. There's so much to explore. And when you think of smell in general, you think of, if you ask somebody, what do you think about when you hear the word smell? Especially if you're in New York City, you're going to be like, it smells like crap here.
Negative word, right?
So, but my experience was anything but. And so I started reading, joining communities, watching movies, and of course, putting on a lot more of these all over my arm. And I took advantage of my free cycle and the buy nothings, and asking people to give me their perfumes, going to getting old ones from old lady estate sales where they just were crazy bad. They were all rancid by then. But I was able to explore and see what I liked. And I said, you know what, there's something I need to do with this. So in 2019, January, I was finalizing the plan to start a perfume brand with a focus away from the way perfumes are communicated now. It's all about seduction and sexualization. For me, it was all about happiness in a bottle. And
where do you start with that? How do you create a scent totally from scratch, or do you have an idea of what kind of notes you want to include?
Yeah, so I will say that if I were to do something like that, and make the fragrances on my own, I would set myself back 10 years in R&D. Like that is not something I did myself. After everything happened, I went out to a perfumer, and we forged a relationship, and I said, here are some notes that I like. They're not based and inspired by anything. They're just things that after I've tried all the things, I appreciated, and I had a guy do them, and we iterated many, many times. It took about 14 months from pretty much from the beginning, not even process to completion, but like from when he started everything to the end. And then COVID happened. So things slowed down just a little bit, but then I realized that this is the right time to do it. We're in the middle of a pandemic and we're alone. And my story was always about doing it for yourself and not for other people. Self-care is not selfish. So I made a soft launch in May, and, I have this crowdfunding campaign right now, and hoping that this will become a mainstream regular fragrance, but with the objective, like I would say this is disruptive. I want to normalize sniffing your wrists throughout the day. It looks weird, but it grounds you. It brings you back to the moment. And
do you have a men's line? I think Chris would be into that.
It's unisex.
Line. So that's also really important. I want people to realize anybody could wear it. I am an early adopter, if you will, like Chris had said earlier, in social media. I believe that I am onto something here in the focus of mental health. I really, really believe in this, and I put way too much time in this to fail. I want this, I want to really help people in such a low friction way. I was seeing a psychiatrist twice a week, taking a cocktail of medications, and after this, it was let me be discharged. I didn't need to see him anymore. And he was he's come over. We've discussed this. He's really excited by this. I think he's slightly threatened because
right.
Because he's not going to get paid anymore.
Yeah.
Chloe's with us in the audience. She wants one with vanilla, jasmine, and sandalwood. I think you should make her dream come true.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go as far as I can. If I can go far and wide, I'm going to take it. I want this to be I want people to, to contribute to this. And I mean, the ones that I have right now, I have two. One is called Quirky. That one is a pear and a patchouli. And one is called Intense. And that is a smoky vanilla. So we got the vanilla there for you, Chloe. Gonna hopefully.
Chloe's Intense. That works.
Yeah. And the names here are supposed to embody the characteristics of ourselves that, show that we're imperfect. But I want everybody to realize this is made for you. This is not made, it's never going to be called sexy or seductive. It's going to be the characteristics of who we are as humans. And we need to, it's just all about self-love, self-acceptance. And
can you make them in travel containers? Because that's my biggest complaint about perfumes. It's really hard to travel with them.
Well, thankfully
and if they break, your whole luggage smells. Not that that's a problem we all have currently, but someday.
Yeah. So I will say right now I'm only doing 50 ml, 1.67 ounces.
Oh,
so you're going to be able to travel with it.
That fits.
Yeah.
So I've been sitting on a thing that would kind of align with the concept of Quirky. A book that I read once, someone's recommendation that I loved immensely, was called Perfume, and it was by Patrick Suskind. And it's a set in early France, and it's actually a murderer, and he has the perfect nose. He has kind of a supernatural nose as the storyline goes on. And I was just curious if you'd read the book, and if you hadn't, I have the worst sense of smell in the world. You went through COVID. You have, not the best sense of smell in the world. How does nose fall into this storyline?
So I will tell you let me talk about my nose story. I did lose my sense of smell and taste for a while. It came and went. I think I have it fully back. Every single day, I have to still put on a different perfume just to get back to this mission of making sure I take care of myself. As far as the perfumer is my nose right now, but at the same time, he's in California. I'm in New York. I have to like it, and I have to market test it. So when this was happening, we were trying to figure out to finalize our scents. We had, it was the general public, because at the end of the day, you got some really amazing noses, but this has to be mainstream. So I went out to Times Square and I got random people to give me their feedback on videos. Some of them are in the video that I have on the I Fund Women campaign page. So you should watch the video on the top. But yeah, it's interesting. It is really hard. And I will say that, for example, Intense was iterated upon 8 times.
Wow.
The difference is subtle, but like it makes a difference. Like there was actually feedback at one of the iterations, like it smelled like a dentist's office.
Oh my God.
That's not going to go over very well. So like, it was important to market test to the best of my ability.
Yeah, with dentists.
Yeah, with
those dentists were like, this smells great.
I love this.
Yep. Yeah.
Much love for coming by, Tamar. Thank you so much for being part of this, Tamar Weinberg. We put up all your contact. Everyone knows how to find you. Swing by. We're dead middle of the campaign right now. People need to get in on this if they want to get their early bottles of Quirky and Intense.
Yeah. So it ends next Friday for the initial. Anybody right now, I do have a fundraising goal that might be a little too tall for me. Anybody who orders it's happening. We're gonna make it happen. Of course, it would be great to get my goal, but there's nobody going to be left behind on this one.
She's raising $10.9 million, and all she wants, you'll get like at least 2 bottles. It'll be perfect. Tamar, thank you so much for your time. Very big bottle. We'll catch you later. Oh, Tamar Weinberg. It's so fun to catch up and see what's going on there as well. Carrie, before we bring on Brooke Sellas, which, I hope she just drinks more and more. Before we bring on Brooke, I had our mutual friend Jason Fall's daughter, Katie, has a YouTube channel that I watch all the time called Katie Reads. And I asked her, I said, are you at all willing to shoot me a video? And after I paid her appropriately, she said yes.
Perfume?
Yeah, I paid her in perfume bottles. It's Quirky coming her way. That would actually, she'd probably like it. Jason would punch me, but
wouldn't be the first time
that Jason punched me. I know. All right, here's Katie. This is Katie Falls.
Hi, I'm Katie from Katie Reads, and thank you so much, Chris, for asking me. My favorite book that I think adults will enjoy is Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. Some reasons I think adults will enjoy this book are we follow a teenage main character who makes a lot of mistakes, and so you can get an insight onto what teenagers think when they make mistakes. We also have a lot of very interesting friendship and family dynamics, which can help you in your own families. And an added bonus is this book is written by an African-American author and follows 2 African-American main characters, so it can help you get an insight on the African-American experience. And as you can probably see, I learned a lot from this book and really loved it, and I would definitely recommend The Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds to adults. And if you want to hear more about the books that I read and love, follow me over on YouTube at KT Reads.
She's the best.
Yep, she has a chocolate frog behind her. I noticed that. And she's an annotator, which I'm like that too. So in law school, we had to read a couple of different books, but I had annotated all of them. Not like the case books. I don't care about that. But yeah, I'm like that too.
Did you get that weird tingle when you saw all those little marks on the side? I was like, whoa.
Well, so I took a professional responsibility class, and so I would do it because we were allowed to have the book like with us, like in the thing. And so obviously I wanted to know which rule applied. But yeah, so for me, it was a means to an end. I do it when I'm going to interview somebody too, though. I'm a highlighter though, in that case.
Chloe, if you send her to the channel, and I'm not touching any more buttons, I like if at least the comments. I won't touch comments. I will touch. I'm not going to say what I almost said. Make her comment, Chloe, because no one knows anyone's there until they comment. So make sure she says hi and that she's reading the same book too. As you know, on this show, we have this weird habit of hi, Brooke. just starting.
Oh, Brooke Sellas of B Squared Media. You are the co-host of the Marketing Companion podcast. You jump scare people for fun. I mean, really, there's so many interesting things to talk about with you. I don't even know where to start.
Zombies, horses. We can go so many directions.
Brooke prepares for the zombie apocalypse in her mind, but she doesn't actually take concrete action based on it.
Zombies and horses? Are you Tina from Bob's Burgers?
Actually, slightly, yes. No, but I do think about that all the time. I'm like, I'm valuable to the group when the zombie apocalypse happens because
you do social media, Brooke?
No, because I can horseback ride. I can be a gatherer, You
could gather without a horse. I'm just going to say. Horses are noisy. I feel like you'd be a big ass target. That's what I feel like.
No, but you could trample the zombies. It's a big thing. But let me ask you this, because when people say horseback ride, there's a few different flavors. We're not talking dressage, right? You're just like a
No, I
rider.
don't dance with my horse. I think that's fine for some people, but I prefer to dance all on my own.
I love that you're
Oh.
like, that's fine for some people.
You know, Billy Idol liked to dance by himself too, and he made a career out of it. So you're fine.
No. I saw Brooke present at this conference in Lancaster called the Insight Marketing Conference, all about using chatbots to improve, the customer experience. And I think I'm not sure they were ready for it. There are a lot of like smaller mom pop businesses. There's great people at that conference, but I think in that room they were a little bit like taken aback by it. Do you think the technology is going to get more acceptance now, maybe, that people are sort of swamped?
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. I think we have this misconception because of friends like ours, Christopher Penn, who make it seem like robots and their scariness are going to take over the world, and they probably will, and it probably will be scary. But I also think that it's just a lazy approach not to at least test out chatbots or AI, because there are so many programs that are super easy. And if you're into the customer experience like we are, using a chatbot to answer your FAQs so that a human can triage the more like hard level stuff makes so much sense to me.
So triage, when you can figure out if they're just looking for your hours or if they need something more sophisticated, like they have a problem.
Exactly. So in FAQ, we have a financial client. The frequently asked questions that they get constantly are like, are you open? Can I get to the ATM even though it's a Saturday and the branch is closed? Stuff like that a bot can answer literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with 100% accuracy, no humans involved. That would be easy.
Who needs these? Sex toy sites need these, because I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, I might have questions, but I got to ask them.
We don't. I mean, I think as people, as the generations
Maybe
move through, it'll become more commonplace. The dinosaurs have to go, but but I also think, for harder stuff, we do want to talk to a human. If it has to do with like my password or my account balance, I don't know, maybe account balance. I wouldn't care if it was a machine, because then the machine would see my balance.
They won't judge you.
Yeah. No judging.
Right? I don't know. It depends who programs it. It still might be like, really, Brooke, you're cutting a little close, aren't you?
Yeah. Or it would be like, woo, Brooke.
Do you think it's a missed opportunity, though? Or do you think that there are other places that businesses could be doing more with social that don't necessarily have to go that next step?
What I think the missed opportunity is the humans. I mean, that's what we do with customer care, truly, is we put humans in place. If you look up like customer care or online customer care solutions, if you do a quick Google search, most of what you'll see are tools or technology or some sort of automation or a chatbot to take care of your customers. And I kind of disagree with that. Again, like FAQs, sure. But like any, again, if we're talking about triage, like yellow level or red level stuff, I feel like that needs to have a human. And I think the human's way better in the way of customer care than a chatbot or a tool or an automation piece of software will ever be.
Can you train it to recognize people? Because like Chris goes from 0 to mad so fast that if it's him, you should like elevate it immediately.
We definitely have notes in our social CRM about people who are
grumpy,
a little more aggressive than others. So Chris, we've got your number.
That's good to know, because you know what I try to do with chatbots all the time is, don't you know who I am? And it is amazing how that doesn't work with a chatbot.
No, it'll be like, let me give you the menu.
Press 1.
Do you feel like? Well, I have a question wrapped in a question.
Okay.
When you said Penn, it was like spot on, because Christopher Penn going to any event basically goes meow, 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 and everyone goes and runs away. And you're trying to sell the thing he's selling. You're like, wait a minute, guys. Like it could be human, or it could be fine. Do you feel like, number one, that people are still so far afield from even really grasping what you mean by, how a chatbot actually works compared to what they sort of perceive that means? And two, and this is a gendery question. Do they see your sweet, smiling female self and go, she doesn't do chatbots? Like, do you get that or no?
Yes, and yes. I've gotten that my whole life, by the way, because I have like this teeny tiny baby voice, and I'm like, I come across as super sweet, but Carrie knows the truth. And the other side of that is, I think people like, here's an example. We had a client who wanted us to set up a chat bot for them, and we were setting up the conversational workflow, which is like how you set up how the bot talks, quote unquote, to the consumer. And they really thought the bot was going to have a conversation, like an actual like human flowing conversation. And I was like, well, no, that's not how it's based on keywords, and the keywords trigger a response. So if we don't get that keyword, we're not going to trigger that response. And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, they really thought the bot was going to go in and just chat like we are here, which I think is also a big misconception that people have. Oh, now I see Groot too. Hey, Groot.
Are you talking to the thing behind
Those are
Chris
my
on the
toys.
shelf, Brooke?
I love Groot and
Is
I
this
love
what's
Kermit.
happening?
I have a Kermit and I have a Groot.
Let me ask you, is Groot talking back to you now?
Yes.
What is he telling you?
We need to call somebody.
I can't get my Groot because he's like way over there, but here's my
Oh
Aw.
my golly. Hi, Nancy Merland. I went off the rails with that one. Woo, hey, Kermit.
Sorry.
That's what you get for changing your camera midstream so she could see more of what's on your shelf, Chris. This is your fault.
Shiny object syndrome. Okay, much
Look,
better. There's nothing I
nothing.
can do there.
Yeah, that's
By
good.
the way,
but now Steve won't be happy. You got to
I
pick your battles.
I failed the room rater test of having actual books on my bookshelf, but that's because I gave up physical books for Lent. The only books that are ever in my house are other people's books that they sent me because they thought I wanted to read them, or Trust Agents 10th Anniversary Edition.
Woo!
Came out yesterday. Totally get it. See brogan.me/trustagents. So bear in mind, Brooke, that this question has no bearing on the last question. In fact, if I were to have such a thing, I would say it's a 90-degree segue. You are someone who has a strong personality, a big personality, and it's interesting how that applies in these uncertain times. How are you communicating, and how are you kind of hitting that note of trying to be somber, but also really being Brooke? By the way, Chip is having edibles. He thinks he's not sure if he is, but he is.
Chip, we should talk later. So you know what? I haven't tried to be anything other than myself. I think, what I did from the beginning was I reached out to my customers, and I reached out to our team, and I said like, hey, I've created this extra little link on my calendar. I'm open anytime. Talk to me, cry on my shoulder, vent, yell, scream, whatever you need to do. Like, it doesn't have to do anything with work. We can just talk about what's going on. But I've never tried to like be somber because, I think somebody has to carry the light hope during this whole thing. And it sucks. It sucks being me sometimes because I think you're right. Like on the inside, I'm scared. There have been some scary moments in my life. I've had a lot of people who've contracted the virus in my life. They've gotten well, thank goodness. But I can't not be me, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. I don't take a lot of things seriously either. And because that's just how my family is like Boston Catholic. Chris gets it. But, there is nothing that's not funny. We'll laugh at funerals. It's awkward.
Yeah, that's kind of how my family is too. I have a sister who has cystic fibrosis, which is a terminal lung disease. And so I think we kind of just like grew up like laughing at sickness and death. Like that's our way of coping with what's going on. And I carry that through with this. And yeah, I probably turned some people off with that, but I can't not be that person. That's just how I grew up.
In my experience, you turn some people off with that, Brooke, but then on the other hand, your people find you because they understand. I mean, some people are like, oh my God, do we have to think more about death numbers today? Like this is like more death numbers today. It's bad. I'm in the South. They had to create a new color for the map to depict how many cases, because that's how stupid people are being here. They had to create a new color,
Texas?
Brooke.
Yeah. Talking to my Texas relatives and coming from Texas, that's where I lived for 29 years. I have to like constantly call them and be like, y'all quit being stupid and put on the mask. Okay. Don't make me come down there.
Right. And they don't listen.
No.
They don't listen.
Some of us have to call their parents and tell them maybe don't have social events with other people. That happens sometimes to some people's parents. I wouldn't name names, but it's weird how suddenly parenting your parents to say, hey, I mean, if someone were doing that, hey, maybe don't have friends over to your house, you social bitches. Like, keep them over there and spray anybody who comes to the door.
Spray them.
like cats,
Yeah, exactly.
Like a Lysol, like misting station.
But they did keep you alive for the first, however many years of your life you were a complete dumbass. So you have to assume they've got something going for them upstairs, or you wouldn't still be here.
All right, that's
because you really tried, I'm sure, to cause trouble.
Oh, to die? Oh my gosh! Oh. Anyway, that's another whole story. That's not a Brooke Sellas story. So
I know. If only your parents were here every day. And
every
shed
day
light on your shenanigans in the comments.
My parents prepared me for this because I was grounded most of my life. So I'm fine with staying in my room for days and months upon end.
Carrie's gonna stab my hands.
This is fun when someone gives you a job to run a show and then they choose to run it themselves anyway. It's like getting paid for nothing.
Are you having a power struggle behind the scenes?
There's a button problem going on right now. It's my only job is to say what the computer says, and you're taking it away. It's a stupid job, but it's stupid. My job.
Here you go.
I couldn't get there. Maybe we all did edibles. I don't know. I'm
just like this.
Drinking almond milk. I don't know.
Just like this.
Oh,
yep.
Jasmine iced tea.
Water. Just water, you guys.
Somebody mentioned jasmine earlier, and I was like, yes, I'm drinking that.
Oh, was that Chloe?
Yes.
So Chloe says that she's got the dark humor going too, and so does Carol Ellery. So one is from Canada, one is from Scotland, and I'm like, whatever. There's a lot of us. We are legion. So all you perky people that are like, COVID is no laughing matter. Well, maybe it is for some of us.
Some people who left a comment just said that there's certainly some humor going around for COVID now. So,
I mean, it all in context, right? So, Brooke, it's not like you do a social media campaign where you laugh at people with COVID for a client, obviously, right? It's like how you deal with things in your personal life. You may put on a very different approach for a client.
Obviously. I have a question for y'all. Have y'all been saying COVID the whole time? By the way, because we looked at our social listening data and back in March, people were calling it coronavirus. But now the social listening stats in June show that most people have moved to COVID or pandemic and aren't using coronavirus as much.
So there's a reason, because we were told it was a coronavirus. We took it as the coronavirus. Corona just is the shape of the viral elements and organisms. And what basically that SARS is also a coronavirus. And so are a bunch of others. And so I think what happened was when we finally sort of, could kind of like linguistically settle the dust a little bit, everyone, I guess, decided just COVID. They almost never say the 19 part, but that's also interesting.
Which is 2019. Doesn't mean there have been 18 prior. So Nancy says she watched when it was just you, Chris. I apologize, Nancy. Thanks for joining.
It's so much better. No.
And Brian says that I'm vanilla.
Water's so vanilla.
He's got yellow water though, to be on brand. He's just got yellow water.
Yellow water sounds like
calling me vanilla.
Don't eat yellow snow.
And so, please.
What happened?
Goodness gracious.
Was it fun?
The funeral.
Fun? Yes. So when I come home after a funeral, someone would always say, "Was it fun?" I've never had that experience, but I've been the one that's like racked with laughter, a couple rows back from the front, and like laughing so hard I'm crying. I'm trying really hard, and they're not saying anything funny. It's just like something has just happened.
That's your coping mechanism, is laughing. I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Just to pretend we're doing a business show, you should know that at b-squared.media, you could also get social media listening services. So you too could have known that they switched from saying coronavirus to COVID.
I mean, it's kind of my thing. Yeah. I like to look at the data and help our clients understand how to change their messaging. So if they were using coronavirus, we have them change to COVID. And then obviously any other words that are associated with their brand, industry, or maybe even competitors, like, hey, let's use these words to try to get more engagement.
Do you ever tell them like maybe don't talk about some stuff?
We have that conversation a lot.
Yeah. No one needs to know what your thoughts are on this right now. Like, let's just give that a minute.
Yeah. That's been an interesting topic around marketing and the virus, is trying to get people to leave policy and politics out of their public conversation.
Do they ever listen?
Sometimes they don't. And the ones who don't have felt the burn. So
yeah. And then they blame you, which is understandable.
Exactly. Yeah.
What about for yourself? So when you're coming at this, you have so much expertise that you bring to bear for other people's brands. When you're building your own for B Squared Media, what kinds of things are you doing? Like, what do you consider must-do things? for building?
Well, we automatically did an audit of content. I think that wasn't obvious, right? We paused content. We did a quick audit. We kind of updated some of our messaging, but a lot of our like COVID related messaging wasn't so much public as it was private. We created a private web page for our clients for some COVID related marketing resources. I sent out that link to my calendar. The directors sent out links to their calendars. So we were a little more quiet about it, I guess you could say, because I don't feel the need to like fly the COVID banner for attention, which unfortunately some brands do as well.
That seems like the wrong kind of attention.
Well, yeah, but I think, it's like newsjacking, right? You look at, there was a marketer who put out some COVID related advertising based on the guy in Houston who died from COVID and said to his nurse, I think I made a mistake, because he was like the anti-masker, but he used that literally in his advertising. And I think some people, unfortunately, we see this all the time, use newsjacking in a really unfortunate way.
Wait a second. Are we talking about a certain social media kind of guy who runs a mask company who maybe made that mistake? Yeah. Okay. Just checking. We're not going to talk about that one out loud, but boy, did that guy get crushed by every single person I know in the entire marketing world.
Yeah.
Anyway. It's a very visible.
We've been doing that, marketers. When I say we've been doing that for the dawn of time. Some of us, not all of us. We've been taking bad things and trying to use it to market. And so,
right.
It is a tactic. It's not a tactic I like to use, which I think is why we were a little more quiet about our stuff. But people were more outspoken with resources and things like that too. And I don't think that's wrong. It's just how you approach it. I personally like to be a little more on the quiet side.
Right. I see it though, Black Lives Matter. And so do these awesome sunglasses, $200, right?
Yes. Yeah. Which is, literally like makes my heart hurt to see that kind of stuff. But
it just makes me sigh. Depending who it is, you're like, oh, here we go again.
Heavy sigh here.
But as long as you don't do it, that's what matters, because you want the B Square media to do well, and you don't want to do things like that, and you're never going to. So I think we can all feel good about that.
We've towed the line with a few things because clients want us to put certain content out. So I can't say we're like squeaky clean.
Oh, that's interesting, Brooke. So without naming names, what was something you super didn't want to do that you ended up doing?
A lot of around the Black Lives Matter, the response from some of our enterprise size brands around Black Lives Matter. And we were like, are you sure? Let us like zhuzh this a little bit with you. And we did some zhuzhing, and then corporate got involved and the zhuzhing went away and it still went out and they got hammered. And we were like, yeah, well, we wanted to zhuzh and you didn't let us zhuzh. So here we are.
You mean the old white text on black background with a simple stated logo at the bottom?
And the logo was quite large. So, I can't say we're squeaky clean. We weren't like, no, we're going to stand by our guns and we're not going to put this out for you, blah, blah, blah. Cause I gotta
get paid. Sure.
Team.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say we're squeaky clean. We have to make these. I don't think, people who aren't on the marketing side of messaging and content right now really understand what we're going through as marketers and community managers right now with this virus, with Black Lives Matter, with any sort of like sensitive content, the things that we see, the things that we have to put out, the fights that we go through with corporate, and then the responses that we get from people on social. I can't even begin to tell you some of the horrific messages and comments people have sent back.
You don't have to. Everything's magnified right now. So people are feeling really raw and emotional in their personal lives. And so any little thing will completely set them off.
Everybody's one hair away from like going postal.
Yes.
I think this is a perfect time to drag Tamar back into this. Because Tamar, who was like waiting, she was so good at waiting. You were writing the book on this a while back. I guess it was probably under Meerman's banner, right? The new rules, new community rules, marketing for social or whatever. That was what they made you do back at the time.
New rules of marketing, PR.
No, that's Meerman Scott's book. Mine was the new community rules marketing on social web. That's yeah. I got permission. I did talk to David about this.
Oh yeah. But no, so and that was, we talked about it even way back in the day, and there was like a kind of good reasoning for the branding. when you hear Brooke talking about all this, does it make you absolutely in no way miss marketing and social stuff like that?
A little bit, but the thing I think I miss the most is the networking, the community. I love the community. There's obviously it's been a rocky road for me personally, but yeah, I love. It's funny because when working in an operational capacity, even before that, I had been working as like an editor in chief and a general manager of a tech blog. And I delegated the marketing stuff. I realize right now, and somebody said to me, you're launching a crowdfunding campaign, marketing, but your marketing is not where it was. Well, the truth of the matter is, it's like jack of all trades, master of none, and you need to specialize in something right now, right here. And that is not like, everything is being spread too thin. And I mean, I enjoy having that like lack of, I don't want to say marketing is monotony, but marketing is a specialty. And I mean, very, very competent people do it. I don't know if it's my thing anymore. I like to know holistically what it is, but the execution myself, let me step away from that as much as I can.
You must have an opinion though.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly appreciate data-driven insights. I'll let somebody try to. There are times I don't even know. Like at this point, I feel like marketing is most efficient when it's a pay-to-play, and for me personally, that's disenchanting, especially with the bootstrapped startup right now. So, yeah, I want the more competent marketers to kind of take over for me right now.
Well, here's Brooke.
Yeah. Brooke will be in touch after this show.
But you're right about pay to play. And that is sad. Like everybody was like, what do you think about this Facebook thing? Some of our clients, we're going to pull our money out of Facebook. I was like, you're not going to affect Facebook. You realize, right, that like most of their money for these ads come from small to mid-sized companies. So you pulling out your giant budget is going to maybe affect them by 5% on revenue. They're going to keep churning. They'll probably come back better. And you're going to go back to Facebook because the cost per click's better than like LinkedIn or Twitter or somewhere else, Google. So yes, you're right. Pay to play is the devil, but that's where we live.
And Brooke's like, stop trying to make a point. Nobody cares.
I mean, no, I get what they're saying. I think Facebook is so evil, but it's a necessary evil with what we do.
Right. That's also kind of an evolution why I went away from social media marketing, because doing the organic marketing these days, I mean, yeah, you can have something, but you need the traction and you have to pay. It's definitely not, like I said, I want to be one-on-one with somebody. I want to have the relationships. I don't want to be doing, all the other things. And at the end of the day, you're paying a social media marketer, but you really have to start paying the budgets to Facebook, to LinkedIn for all the ads. And that's not when I was operating, how it used to be. It's hard.
And really, I mean, what did Zuckerberg do when everybody pulled all his money out of July? He decided to, cosplay as Lieutenant Commander Data. So there's really, I got to tell you, there's not a lot of, he doesn't feel all that bad that he lost, July.
He basically gave everybody the shoulder shrug emoji. It was like, meh.
It looks like he got dropped into a vat of chemical waste.
You just got to wonder, when you're that ridiculously rich, that sunscreen's important. Baz Luhrmann told us that like almost 20 years ago. But you got to know that someone had to say, Mark.
Rub it.
Just
a little bit here, just right here. Rub it in.
Just zhuzh it.
Zhuzh.
Or if you're that worried about it, stay inside.
I'm with you, because I actually got my idea for B Squared Media back in like 2007, before Facebook was Facebook and before pages existed. I worked for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation down in Dallas, and I was charged with figuring out how to get young people involved with the nonprofit. Well, nobody knows what CF is. So I'm like, young people know beer. So I created a pub crawl, and I used our Facebook profile essentially as a page. We called it like the Young Professionals Group for Cystic Fibrosis. And I ended up recruiting like 7,500 people to attend this pub crawl, and made like over $60,000 for the charity, all from Facebook. But like something like that, could it happen today? Maybe for a really cool cause, but like something like CF, which I
get
can
wasted
say,
for cystic fibrosis.
With CF, I feel like I can say that. So CFers don't come after me. I know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it would happen like that today. I don't think it would.
Right.
There's so much competing for your attention now, though. Even if you really do truly deeply care about CF, there's also like 25 other things equally as compelling. So there's a lot more competition than there probably was then.
Well, and here's another thing about social. It's all about the aesthetics, right? Like, and that's what we always said about CF. CF kids don't look sick. So they're constantly losing out to the diseases where the kids actually look sick, which sucks to say out loud, but like, hey, these are the truth.
Totally
these are the hard truths, you know?
That's awful, but so true.
It's so true. It's like quick. Some of you guys get in a wheelchair or something, you know, because
it's true though. And social is all about the visual, right? So like the visual of a CF kid isn't going to be the same as a visual with like a kid with cancer or somebody in a wheelchair or whatever the situation may be. That is the hard truth.
You just got to borrow some sunblock from Zuckerberg and they'll all look terrible. Be perfect. Look how pale they are. Just so
look at that man.
They're so ill.
The other meme that went around with that was Cesar Romero as the Joker. Of course.
Joker, that was my favorite person.
I just love that he was like, "Yes, I'm ready. Let's go."
Can you imagine just having that kind of FU money that you're like, "Yep."
We call it FU money too. Yeah, but like it must be nice to have FU money because then you just get to tell everybody FU.
You know, you could do that without the money.
No, I'm too Southern for that.
Oh,
FU, ma'am.
From Boston. Yeah, we've got 3 Northerners up here. We have no problem with that. All day, all night.
Nope.
But no money.
Right. If we had that, maybe that's why. Maybe these things relate.
Possibly.
We say these sorts of things. All right. One last question for everybody. What is our best prediction on what goes into the backpack for people now? What is Brooke's thing you're going to add to people so that they can absolutely lead and win? Tomorrow, what are we going to look at and, make sure that we can lead and win? And I just have to say this one really quick because Birthday Boy is, in the same, skin range as myself and Carrie and everybody, that when we go on the beach, it is essentially, I'm on a beach, I'm a lobster. There is no in between. So I just want to put that out. So maybe starting with Brooke, what's something that goes in the backpack for people so they can lead and win and own their life the way they need to?
I think for us, it's customer care. We started focusing on this 2 years ago through a beta test, and then released it this year in January, kind of right before everything went crazy. But what we've seen is with the clients who use customer care, which is basically just us helping them handle their customer service through social media, is that we've actually been able to support them through COVID and through Black Lives Matter and some other, crises that have happened online. So I think that there is going to be a shift. And what I like about it is this is organic. This doesn't have to do with paid. Almost 70% of people come to social media pages for some sort of like customer care, customer service request. So I feel like it allows us to get back to organic, but it allows us to put the customer first, which is really important. So I think if you can focus on customer experience, customer care through social, and put that in your backpack, you'll make it through. You'll be doing all right.
Tamar, help us make some sense.
Yeah, so I definitely echo Brooke's sentiment. I mean, that was seriously something I've been doing since 2012. I totally saw that, and that's what I alluded to earlier. As far as putting things in your bag, in your backpack, I would definitely say take a bottle of perfume. Put that in there. But in reality, take advantage of your 5 senses and really kind of see it in a way makes you feel good. Little things like take daily practices of like affirmations. For me, I have a little thing in my bathroom actually that says "Be awesome today." It's a decal on the wall. And like little subtle hints like that can make you feel better and actually can make you a better version of yourself. If it wasn't for fragrance, I don't think I would have gotten into a better practice of being a better human being. I started embracing fitness, reading books every single day. I do a Duolingo language lesson. I'm on day 678 or something like that. It's consecutive.
Which language?
So I did Hebrew because
of course,
and I'm good with that. I'm working on Spanish at this present time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Muy bien, Tamar.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't even want to try to even respond.
Yo no soy la puerta. I am not the door. All right. Here we go. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say thank you so much, Brooke. Thank you so much, Tamar, for being here. Carrie?
I'm telling everybody to get your book.
Get my book. Hebrew and then Spanish was the answer. But
Oh man, so I was going to take Italian and didn't at the end because we didn't go. My son and I were going to go to Italy for his school trip, and obviously that was supposed to be in May, and that got canceled. So now not studying Italian. So forget it. But I think I'm good. I have like a little bit of Spanish, German, teeny bit of Japanese, and a little bit of Czech. So I feel like I'm good.
I feel like if you just have a couple good swear words, a couple weirdly funny things to say.
First things I learn.
And if you basically can say some version of I have to take a mean shit. Like if you could get all of those.
I feel like I'll never need to tell someone that.
You might.
Nope.
You always just take nice dainty ones? I mean.
Well, I feel like they don't need to know that.
Oh.
I just need to say Gdea Zahod. Like, where's the bathroom? Then I could just go find it.
¿Dónde está el baño?
Yeah. That's all they needed. They can pretty much fill in the blanks.
Où est la toilette?
Is what I'm saying.
I'm probably saying that one wrong. All right. Hey, I was just thinking that if one of these days we should end the show like